Welcome to All About Videography. My name is Joel Levy, and in this video I would like to introduce to you to a COB RGB video light. It is not a perfect light, but it does what other RGB panel video lights does not do. I'll go over all the features the light has, which are not much. I'll point out some of the negatives and the positives. And last, I will show you how I'm planning on using this light, and hopefully it will give you some ideas. This is the well-making HL RGB. It is RGB video light as well, bicolor light. And it could be converted to a Bowen mount. In the box, you will find the light itself with barn doors attached, a Bowen mount adapter, a ball joint, and a power supply. It also comes with two fixing screws. The manual says it is for Bowen mount accessories. Now, at the bottom of the light, there's a mount thread for the ball joint or for any other adapter. There is a battery tray for NP Sony batteries, a battery release switch, and in the middle of the tray there is a DC input. So the light can work both with a power supply and the Sony battery. There are two vents, one on top and one at the bottom. Now the light does not have a fan, which is a good thing. No fan, no noise. It has a focusing ring. To focus the light, you will need to turn the ring counterclockwise. Out of the box, it comes with the barn doors attached, which includes a Fresnel lens with 4 leaves, 2 black leaves to shape the light. One is a diffuser and an orange filter, which I'm a bit confused. Why would you need one if it is a bicolor? The second attachment is a Bowen that also has a Fresnel lens, but it does not have the accessories quick release. Instead, it has a bolt to lock the accessories from coming out. Now, to replace between the two attachments, you would have to turn the ring counterclockwise. You're gonna have to put some effort because it doesn't come easily, which is a good thing. And just put it back, just like you will open and close a pickle jar, pretty much. Now, one thing I would recommend, don't try to replace the mounts while the barrel is out. I'm not sure if it'll break or not, but yeah, I think it's just to be on the safe side, just don't do that. When you replace the attachments, just make sure the barrel is all the way in. Moving forward, on top of the light, there are 2 dials. One is the bicolor and the other one is the RGB. Now, to turn on the light, you can either push and hold the bicolor dial or the RGB dial. To turn off, the same thing, either or. To toggle between the bicolor and the RGB mode, you will need to push and hold the RGB dial to switch to the RGB mode, or you will need to push and hold the bicolor mode to switch to the bicolor mode. On the back of the light, you will find a display. The display shows light Kelvin temperature, intensity, and battery level indicator. In the RGB mode, it's pretty much the same. You have a battery indicator, the 1 through 360 color spectrum, and intensity 1 to 100%. Now let's talk about build quality. It feels very plasticky, and for example, the Godox L60 is made of plastic as well, but the Godox L60 feels like industrial plastic. This one feels just plastic, like plastic. I don't want to say like a toy, but it just feels plasticky, maybe a cheap plastic or something like that. But with that said, this thing is able to hold pretty much a lot of weight. And I'll give you an example. I got this light specifically for a snoot. Actually, this one, and this is pretty heavy, and this one, no problem. You know, it doesn't come out, and I've tested that before. So even though it feels plasticky, it's able to hold heavy weight. So this one will be good for, I would say, small softbox and even something like that, and most of the Bowen mount accessories. As well, another thing to mention is the Bowen mount itself is made out of metal, and that's the only thing that made out of metal is the Bowen mount. So I tested the light for operating time with medium, well, this is a big one, with a medium Sony battery. In the RGB mode, power intensity was 100%, and I got about 6 hours with a small battery. In the bicolor, I had the intensity 100%, color temperature was 5600 K, and it stayed on for about an hour and a half. Let's talk about specs. It is 80 watts Bicolor, 3200K to 5600K, and 12 watts. It is the RGB, and this one has 360 color spectrum. CRI is 93. For the RGB, 12 watts is just okay, but I wish it was a bit brighter. I would say maybe 15 to 20% brighter will be nice, but it is okay. I measured the lumens from 6 feet away and I got 450 lux. When I actually focused the light, I got 440 lux. So focusing the light, actually, I thought it will be more intense, but all it did is almost like a edit vignette, not more than that. I tested the light for flickering, shutter speed from 50 all the way to 250, 30 frames per second and 24. Same thing with the RGB, and I found no flickering at all. Now, this light does not have any effects. The only thing it has is flickering. It has some flickering in the bicolor mode, and in the RGB mode, what it does is cycles through the RGB, red, green, and blue. So that's about it. This is supposedly those are the effects that it has. One thing that really got me disappointed was no set memory, and I'll explain. It will reset itself whenever you turn on and off the light or whenever you switch between modes. For example, if you set the light intensity to 50, for example, okay, and the color will be, what is it, 56. The moment you'll switch between the modes, you go to the bicolor and you'll come back to the RGB, it will reset itself back to color number 1 and intensity 100%. The same thing for the bicolor. Let's say you change the intensity, change the color temperature, what is it, to 3600 and intensity to well, I'm making a mess over here. Kelvin temperature will be 4200 and the intensity will be, let's say, 50%. If I'll switch the mode, go back, it will reset itself again to 5600 and to 100 intensity. Same thing if I'll turn on and off. I've never experienced that. Every light that has a digital display, like the GVM, the Veltrox, even the, I'm pointing out because that's the light I have over here, even the Godox, every light that has a digital display, I've never experienced that. So this is kind of weird. I contacted the seller because I was not sure it is a defective unit or not. The answer I got from the seller was they did not design the memory function for this light, and thank you for my suggestion, and hopefully in the next generation the unit will have a memory function. So for now there's no memory function. One thing worth mentioning is the light intensity of 1% in the RGB mode. The 1% does feels like it is 1%, not like other lights that there are 1% is more like the 10%. Again, I reviewed the Veltrox X60 last week and their 1% was 10% actually. So where this light shine, it has a Bowen mount, and that means you can use it with a reflector, barn doors, softbox, pretty much all Bowen mounts accessories. I got this light specifically for the spot snoot, and I'll show it to you again, specifically for that. Now, the backstory is that I did not know there is a COB LED light with a Bowen mount adapter or a Bowen mount. Now, when I search for one, I found only 2 COB Bowen mount RGB lights, and that was on Amazon. The first one was a GVM, which was much bigger and more expensive, to be exact, $399. The second one was this one, the Well-Making HL RGB, which was smaller and much cheaper, $120. Until now, I used the Veltrox RGB RB10 to lit a background. It is a great light, but it spills all over because it does not have barn doors. Now, regardless, barn doors on LED panel does not do a great job because of the cast shadows that comes from the small LEDs. I also have the Waylight RGB light, but it will not stay on. The battery stays maybe for an hour, but it drops, the intensity drops after 15 minutes, little by little, until it is off. So that's not ideal. By the way, I reviewed both the Waylight and the Valtrox. I will leave the links below if you want to see the reviews on those two lights, which are great lights. As I said at the beginning of the video, we share with you how I am planning on using this RGB light. First will be the RGB light with the snoot using gobos to lit backgrounds, and this is specifically for interviews. And second will be using a softbox with a cookie color as well to lit a background specifically for interviews. A Bowen mount RGB light that can be controlled with so many accessories and be used in so many different ways is very efficient. And yes, you can use a regular light with a Bowen mount with color filters, but it is a hassle. Think about how many times you would need to remove the softbox until you find the color that you like. And more than that, you might even settle for a specific color because that's all you got. Bottom line, if you are looking for a COB RGB video light with a Bowen mount, at this point, there are not many options. I needed one, so I got one. Like always, if you like this video, please hit the like button. I hope you found this video informative. And please consider to subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.